Welcome back, everybody, to Thanks for Your Concern. You're here with Berenice.
And I'm Ella. Welcome back to another episode, another week. We'd love to have you here. And Berenice, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I know I said I quit dating, but then I'm like, I'm still on my bullshit. I don't know, like, it's just like fun.
Is it? Are you having fun?
I don't know. I'm in a really interesting place where I honestly, I just feel like I have a lot going on personally that sometimes it's nice to like take my mind off of it. And sometimes I feel like, oh my God, there's no way I can have a boyfriend right now. Like, that's a lot of responsibility. But then I try to be like, am I this casual girl? Like, maybe I should try casual. And then I'll like do one casual date and turn into a psycho. And I'm like, oh, that is why we don't do casual, remember? Because we can't. So it's like I can either swear off like a significant other or like committed it to doing that, or like just let people know that like you're either going to be in love with me or we can't talk.
I was reading a book that I mentioned, the bookstore in Chicago that was called Soulful, and they focused on books on emotional intelligence. I just cracked open a book that's all about love by Bell Hooks, and the first chapter is about how like young people are such cynics when it comes to love. Like, it's not possible, and like they're bitter because of A, B, and C reasons. And I was like, oh my God, that's me.
I don't know, like I want to be that way, and I am that way like here and there. I think I'm that way when I like hear bullshit. Like when my friend is talking to me and I hear them like say something about somebody, that I'm like, oh, he doesn't care about you. Like I feel like I can be cynical in that way. But that just comes from experience, right? Like that just comes from like, oh, I was in a situation like that and he did not mind me. But I do want to believe. Like I do believe. I believe in love. I want to be in love. I do too. One day. I'm in no rush. Because that's a lot sometimes, okay? Being in love. Sometimes I forget the trials and tribulations that come as part of being in love. And all the things have to just like sink. And there's a lot of work that goes into that. So I don't really know if I'm like fully there yet. But maybe I'm love curious, okay? It's the weather. It's getting colder. And I'm getting scared. I want to retreat to the indoors, snuggle. My cat still doesn't like to touch me, so like
we're getting there.
We're not yet getting there. Like it's a slow warm up. Like I think I was forcing it, and she just really didn't like that. And now that I'm just like trying to let her do her own thing, because I'm just like, I'm just looking for a buddy. So we're getting there. We're getting there slowly. As I'm like trying to lure her, I'm like, you want to come sit on my lap? She's like, no. But how are you?
I'm surprised I'm still awake, if I'm being quite frank. So I woke up at 6 a.m. this morning to go to a barefoot boot camp. So it's like Pilates with kettlebell. This bitch, and I mean that in a loving, caring way, she was crazy, dude. I was like, holy shit, she's trying to kill me at 7 a.m. It was tough. Fun. Oh, it was a blast. She was playing some jams. I was like, where do I get this playlist? Like, it was fun. It was definitely fun. But it kicked my ass. And it was like I'm not an early riser that early. Like, I'm not fucking in a intense workout class at 7 a.m. But it was super fun. I ran into someone I haven't seen since high school. And we, like, caught up while we were getting ready for work. It was fun.
Oh.
Yeah, it was fun. And I kicked ass at work today. You guys, I'm so much better at my job, and I don't know why, because I, like, do not care. Like, I think I've just been running on such a high frequency lately on all things. Yeah, so that's good, but came home. I've been working on the podcast. I had to get over a couple hate comments, but honestly...
You had hate comments?
Yes. I knew, you know what? I honestly feel like everything happens in life for a reason. So a man called me personally a 2 at best. His words, not mine.
Oh, whatever.
I know. But I literally was like, oh, it's fine. But let me just go look on his page because I was just like curious. And I was like, I know for a fact that this man is like, and honestly, I couldn't have found anything better. He has a video of his wife who refuses to tell him that he's handsome. And I'm like, oh.
That's why he's bitter.
That's why you're bitter. Interesting.
There has never been one moment where I've received a hate comment from anybody I value or respect or like think is cute. Like, I've been called a lot of things as of lately on the internet. Mm-hmm. And all of them is like, it's some dusty, boring, gross person with literally nothing to do. And also, if I was dating somebody, okay, and I saw that they were out there bullying people on the internet because God knows why, that would be such a turn off. Like,
oh yeah,
sir, do you not have hobbies? Like, you are on the internet voicing your opinions probably because you don't feel in control of any of the other things in your life. But like, okay, that would be a turn off for me if I was dating a troll. And I've thought about this before because we had a friend who is a troll. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No. Oh, and he's the worst.
He'd go on Twitter and, like, do the stupidest hot takes trying to troll people. And this man at one point, like, liked me, right? And I was just like, ugh, I really couldn't do it. I really can't. Because, like, why do you think your opinion is that important? Like, you know what I mean? And why are you spreading this? Like, it's getting irrelevant.
The thing that I was like, oh my God, I can't imagine being so bored and have nothing to do than to watch a 40-second video of a hot, funny girl telling a joke and then writing out a paragraph going, like, I'm not joking. I've seen college essays with less words. Like, this dude went in on, like, things, and I literally was like, you need to go find a hobby. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
And I heard, I told you about the Rick Rubin book, right?
I need more info. I'm bad at names.
Okay, so Rick Rubin, he's a producer. He's produced for like literally everybody. Like, he's one of like the most prolific producers in the game, and I recommended his book, The Creative Way of Being. Yes. And in that, he was like, dude, art was supposed to be polarizing. So it's like, and then someone else said something about, you know, you're doing something right when you have half of the room that hates you and half of the room that loves you. And so I'm like, oof, it's almost just like they're honestly hating on the wrong person because I'm kind of living for it.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And I agree with that about art. Because sometimes if it doesn't evoke anything, I'm not a hater. I just don't care for it. And I'm like, that's not art. But if I like it or if I'm like, oh, that evokes a feeling, you're doing something right.
Yeah, baby.
You're doing something right. Maybe we're just doing everything right.
Oh, I'm feeling so hot like we're doing everything right, so...
The delusions are just seeping. Actually, I need a little up on the delusions. As of lately, I've been feeling a little down on the delusions, and I just think, like, this is a good moment to just refuel on that notion.
Baby, everyone who has ever been anything has had to have a little bit of a delusion because you can't get nowhere if you don't believe that you can get there.
Exactly. And if you were listening last week, Ella was talking about failing up fall. And I just love that because as of recent events, I feel like a lot of people do be having the audacity. And sometimes that is the right intention. That is the right crazy to be. So today we're talking about failing upwards, about delusions, about audacity. Should we get into it?
I'm excited. Let's do it. So I was talking about failing up, and I don't know. I don't know. I think it's more like reframing what we think about when we think about failure, because if you fail at something, at least you gave it a try, right? Like the person that never tries never fails. And so I just kind of wanted to reframe it as in like, I'm going to do something I know I'm bad at, or I'm going to do something not because I want it to succeed, but because I want to like go forward.
Okay. I like that. Yeah. I think, I usually go for a lot of the things I say I'm going to do. I don't know if it's the fact that, like, I'll speak them into existence and then, like, I'll feel silly if I don't do it. You know, like, once I tell somebody about it, that is my accountability to follow through. Because I feel like maybe nowadays a lot of people's words don't have a lot of accountability, credibility, you know, but if it's coming out of my mouth, I'm going to own it, and I'm going to have to speak to it at some point, like later in my life. You know, I don't want to be the person that's like, "Oh, didn't you say you wanted to do this and they never did that?" Like, that's embarrassing. And it can't be that girl. So if I'm telling you I'm going to move to New York, I moved to New York. You know what I mean? Like, if I speak it into existence, I had now told people, and it would be too embarrassing not to do it. Not that I really care about how people think. I think it's more like how I feel about that. Like, if I said that I was going to do it, I'm going to do it. Damn it! It's sometimes when other people say no, it's even better. You know, when people are like, "No, you're not going to do that." And I was like, "Oh, watch me."
That is such an admirable. I'm blah 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 blah. I'm struggling with words, bro. Admirable,
It's okay.
but it's an admirable trait to have, because like I think it's really hard to do things, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's so easy just to like go with the flow of like daily life and never try to do things and to say things and then kind of forget about them. So I admire that like you say you want to do something and boom bam boom, you put it into fruition. That's badass.
Thank you. I also just like find people that like say they're gonna do something and then not do it, like, so annoying. I'm like, well, what's stopping you? And then they have like the most stupid excuses in the world, and I'm like, so you're your own problem and you're your own solution. And I'm bored. I'm bored with the constant argument that you're having with yourself. It's giving no protection. I'm sick of having the same conversation. I don't know how you're not sick of yourself. Can you imagine? Sometimes that also works with men. I get so annoyed of myself. Like, if I fuck up again, like, this is why I don't like giving second chances, okay? Because I be giving a second chance, and they do me dirty the same fucking way, and I'm like, I'm about to be so irritating to my friends and to myself, because my friends have to hear about this again and be like, why do you think that was going to be different? And then I start telling that to myself, bitch, why did you think that was going to be different? You're so annoying. You're being annoying. You're annoying yourself right now. You know what I mean? So sometimes the fact that you are irritating yourself actually really helps you move forward.
Yeah, I know. And it's really hard getting out of your own way, baby. And I think there's another book, like The Mountain Is You. And basically that whole book is like, you are the biggest obstacle that you're going to have to deal with in your life. Like, you are going to be the thing that gets in your way.
Yeah. And as a little disclaimer, we're talking about failing upwards, giving things an opportunity for you to do it. This is not about relationships, okay? I just want to make that very clear. This is not about giving that dusty-ass dude another chance. This has nothing to do with that. We're
this is internal. This is like shadow work, baby.
Aspirational,
like,
yeah. This has nothing to do with other people. This has everything to do with just yourself. Okay?
Yes, baby.
Yeah.
I feel like the thing with failing up that I sometimes deal with is like, I sometimes like don't put things out, or I don't do things because I'm secretly afraid of other people seeing me fail. Like, it's really easy to like fail in silence, but it's like the views of other people. And what I have to tell myself is that I do these things like subconsciously. Like, I don't. And I think that's like kind of that thing of that you need to either journal or talk to yourself or just question yourself when you kind of see road hurdles. Like, oh, well, I don't want to do that. Why not? What is about it don't you want to do? And I think sometimes it ends up being a core feeling of like, oh, I don't want like other people to see me fail.
I think people in general need to worry a lot more about themselves than others.
I agree.
At the end of the day, we say this all the time. You pay your own bills, you get to wake up with you every morning, and you're going to die just by yourself, just with you. And so what other people think are like, it's like really not that relevant. And I know that's like easier said than done. And it took me a lot of time in my life to not give a flying fuck about what other people expect of me or if I'm not doing something. But I definitely can't see where you're coming from with that, because sometimes like I get burned out and I'm like, wow, I try to work. I'm trying to start my own business. We have a podcast. We have all these things going on that sometimes quitting or being like, I want to take a step back from it. I do feel like, God, like I would hate for the haters to see that I'm a quitter. you know? Like, I think for me it's the opposite. I think for me is like, if I like, I don't mind starting something with the fear of failing. I think it's more the fear of quitting for what people will be like, oh yeah, she was doing that, but like she stopped. Like that, maybe that's the pressure that I put in myself from others. Like once I start something, I know I'm gonna have to see it through. Like I know I can't get like mediocrely good at it. Like I'm just gonna have to be really good at it. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna have to thrive at that thing. And if I'm not thriving, I'm gonna have to struggle through it. I'm gonna be real about my struggle, but I'm also gonna I'm gonna have to figure it out.
Figure it out. A lot of us could achieve a lot more if we try to just figure it out. I feel like sometimes, I mean, I think the thing about this podcast that makes it really easy for me to keep going is that I have another person with me. It's like these solo ventures that have no accountability but to myself, and that I struggle with.
Interesting.
Yeah, so maybe find an accountability or just a brother in arms, as it were, in whatever you want to do. I think that probably would help me in these other areas of my life.
It does. I think I try to be that friend a lot, where people sometimes like tell me like they want to start doing something, and I'm like, I'll do it with you. Because maybe I don't stick to it, but I'll go like once or twice with you because I generally just like doing an activity and learning something new. And you can keep doing it. I did that a lot in high school. That one ended up backfiring. It really ends up backfiring when you become better at something that somebody that really wants to do something and you just did it for shits and gigs. Yeah. And then they don't like that. And I'm like, I did not mean to excel. It just happened. I mean, I think that also has to do with the fact like there's a lot of people trying a lot of things, and sometimes you can have imposter syndrome, be like, what is going to make me stand out? What is going to make me better than other people that are better connected, maybe are just like were born in a different situation that you were, already have like some connection to the world that you're trying to get into, and that can be really daunting. Like as of recent, I thought about auditioning, like when we were thinking about what's something that I want to try in the fall. I just miss like acting, and I miss theater, and I miss those type of like expression like activities and things to do, and that's something that I've always wanted to do. So I was like, maybe that's it. So the first thing I did, I got on TikTok. I was like, how have I learned a lot of other things? TikTok, oh my god, that bitch is a search engine. Like that's what the platform is moving to. So I like looked up like basically actors in New York and just started figuring that out. And now there's like there's union, there's not union, you gotta have points, and it's like kind of a lot. But then I also realized I don't need to learn everything that has to do with it all at once, because that thought became really overwhelming all of a sudden. So I just started favoring and putting like things in like folders in my TikTok, saving them for later. I can reference these back once I get there in my path and my journey. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I don't have to take on this entire world all at once. Maybe just like dip a toe in. Go to one workshop, you know?
That's funny. I'll send you a workshop, actually, because that's so random that you say this. I literally was thinking about that, about going to an acting workshop, because just dipping my little toes in. I had my little commercial gig, and I do want to continue with that. I'm also dipping my toes into DJing. That's been very fun. I'll have to shout out the person who I'm following, but they've been making like learn how to be a DJ in 30 days, but they do it in like literally like a minute videos. So I've been doing that, and that's been really fun. That's actually changed my work game lately. I have decided that my 9 to 5 is just where I listen to music for my DJ sets, and it's just been giving me breathing second life into my job.
Yeah.
I just listen to music with a purpose.
You gotta find a purpose, sometimes you just gotta really, I'm like, I work in merch because I'm learning how to run a merchandising business. Like, that has kept me going.
We're all about looking for the next thing, failing upwards, and I've been trying to like prepare for my next place and the place that I am in during the time that I'm there. So I've been going above and beyond in my job for the next job, to get the next job. They don't need to know that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Instead of trying to do that work outside of work, I do it within work and just try to like fail upwards and try to incorporate like forward moving steps into things that I'm already doing. So I think like with this 7 a.m. boot camp class, it was just kind of like a fun different thing that I can do. But I'm already doing that. Like I'm already working out. So I'm not like starting a whole new thing that needs to be complicated and overwhelming. I'm just, instead of doing hot yoga, I did something a little different today, you know?
I like that. And you can always try again. You know, even if it fails the first time, you can always try it again. If Mr. Fire Festival himself has come with Fire Festival 2.0, he said, I'm out and back in this streets, ready to try it again, ready to do it again. If he can do it, we can all do it, okay? If, what's her name? Anna Delvey?
Yes.
Delvey? Mm-hmm. You know, Mrs. Con Artist, socialite herself, can come out of prison and find whole new social status because of the con artist that she is, then we can all do it. And we need to believe ourselves a little bit more, okay? Something interesting that I was actually talking to my roommate about today was in New York, people are funny because people are being real delusional. Like, this is where the delusions are made of. Mm-hmm. And she was telling me that she used to be friends with this girl that, like, used to call herself, like, a designer, but, like, she never made anything. She's just like, oh, like, I've made, like, a few sketches of, like, things maybe, like, I want to make someday. And I'm just like, damn, I didn't even start calling myself a designer until, like, this year. And I try to, like, that was my career, you know what I mean? And sometimes I think maybe not believing that I was fully there actually held me back from a lot of things. Because once I started believing in myself a little more, I came with the shit. So, you know, like, I am a designer. Like, I do feel like an artist. I need to put myself in that position, in that mentality, and make things. But there's really people out there in the world that aren't making shit and they're just calling themselves whatever. For me, that is real delusion. And sometimes maybe I need a little sprinkle of that.
Well, I mean, look at all these people who are entrepreneurs. You can give yourself whatever job title that you want to give it, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you call yourself an entrepreneur, so you are. You know, like, you call yourself a designer, so you are. Like, you don't have to, unless you're saying you're a doctor or, like, a lawyer, like, those are job titles that you earn or are given to you. But a lot of job titles, you just are that because you say you are that. I was, like, looking up, like, okay, what the fuck? How do I become a CEO by 35, okay? And then I built out a whole business plan because it's really not that hard. You just need 10 employees before you can become a CEO. So I was like, all right, so I'm going to need, like, to pay everyone a living wage. I'm going to have to make, like, $7.5 million. But that's actually not a lot in the grand scheme of things. We can get there.
Yeah.
We're figuring it out, baby. It's one step at a time. But if people ask me, what do you do? And I'll be like, what do you mean? Do you mean professionally or what I do, my side businesses? I tell people I have like 3 side businesses and plus my 9 to 5. My 3 side businesses are technically pretty zero. I would say net zero at this point. They're still a business, baby, because I treat it as such.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Shit. I'll say that. I'll say something about doing a lot that I think I've narrowed it more this year. I've always been a person that has a lot of interest, but as time has gone by, obviously, like, you can be a jack of all trades, master to none, or you can really choose 1 or 2 things that you really like and send it like full throttle and become really good at those things, right? And I think, like, before I used to be more like, I want to do this and I want to do this and I want to do this, and I still have that mentality where I have a lot of interest. But I have found that when you focus on just one thing, that is you making the most out of that one thing. That is the best that you're going to do. That is the most peace you're also going to give yourself. Because when you try to spread yourself too thin, when you have, like, all these things going on, what are you really, like, being good at? Like, it's just too much. And that's something that I've just come to terms with. Like, because at some point, it's like, I feel like I could be a DJ if I wanted to. I feel like, I could be an actor if I wanted to. I want to make clothes. Like, and I think there's duality. Like, you can be all the things that you want to be, but sometimes you got to do one thing at a time, and then you get to the next one, And that's something that I have been a little harder on myself about, just like you're not really putting yourself in a box. It's a temporary position, right? Like any other position. You're basically hiring yourself for a role that you can get out of later. Like, Rihanna, she was a singer before she owned Savage X Fenty, and now she's both, and she likes acting and whatever. And like, she's good at all of those things, but they didn't just happen all at one time.
Yep. Well, she actually stepped down from Savage X Fenty to be a mom.
And now she's a mom, all those things come at a time, but she is still all of those things. Like, at the end of the day, those are her accomplishments. Those are things like that she built. And it doesn't mean that like one thing you have to stick to forever, but I think it does reflect on how successful something can be based on how much energy you can put into it.
Mm-hmm.
Since we're about the delusions, I feel like we should do like a good pep talk, how are we going to be delusional? How are we going to have the most audacity that people get sick of? Like, people are like, ugh, that bitch again.
Okay, I'm a big person on vision boards, okay? I think, and also a little bit like, I love a good arts and craft vision board, but I now love a Pinterest board. I love copying and pasting into Canva and making like a little collage, a little digital vision board. That's super fun. And I like created my dream life and then put it into a little Canva, like a little thing. This is the kind of money I want to make from this venture, and this is where I want to be, and this is what I want it to look like. And then now I fully live in that delusion that that's what I'm going to achieve.
Okay.
Love Solid. A good vision board.
I agree. I think visuals are good. If you really like something, put it everywhere. Be the first thing that you wake up to in the morning. If you see it, like, be it. Fully be it. If you want to be...
You want to be a soap opera star.
A soap opera star. You wake up every day and you tell yourself, I'm a goddamn soap opera star. And maybe you take it method acting. I don't know. Like, you just go send it. Like, it is the real life delusions to live in. When people ask you, what are you? I'm a soap opera star.
Oh, right now?
What soap opera? Right now, I'm in between gigs.
Yeah. Or you could just, honestly, I think just saying I am an actor, I think that also it's like, people want to say like foo-foo manifesting, but if you tell people what you're trying to do, you never know what connections you're going to make. I actually heard on a podcast with a comedian that he was in the hospital. He was in the ER and he was talking to you for whatever reason. This was just like a kind of crazy thing. And then he was talking to a nurse at a nurse's station, and he saw pictures of her husband, who clearly had been like a stand-up comic. And he was like, oh, is your husband a stand-up comic? And she's like, yeah, totally. And he was like, I'm a stand-up comic. He had not had any paid gigs before, nothing. And she was like, oh, really? Like, here's his phone number. Feel free to reach out to him, And that person reached out to him, and that person really helped him in the beginning of his career. But if he had been like, oh, I've always been interested in stand-up comedy, instead of I am a stand-up comic, that conversation probably would have gone a lot differently.
Very different.
So it's like, if you say, I am an actor, I want to be in, I'm a soap opera actress, you never know who you're going to find. Someone, I met someone, I don't know, a while ago, but she had done hair on soaps, And so if you had told that person, oh, I'm a soap opera star, I'm a soap opera actor, that's what I really want to do with my life. You have to like give people the ability to help you by saying what you want to be, putting it out into the universe.
I like that. Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest lessons also that I've learned. Like, there's opportunities out there, but you got to speak that bitch into existence. Like, you got to tell everybody exactly what your goal is, what your vision is. Maybe, like, if you have a really good idea, maybe, like, not give that many details, but, like, the role, the position, the place, the importance that you, I guess, like, portray to others. Like, no, I am a big deal, actually. And it's interesting, but, like, I generally believe, like, you can have that mentality, but what separates you from being a phony is just action, right? You better be ready to pounce. Like the second you give that opportunity, if you are like that soap opera star and there's an audition, then you have to go. Like if you don't go, then now you're a phony. And nobody likes a phony.
Ooh, I love that.
Because we can believe whatever we want, but I've had this with a lot of people. Like I've a lot of people that have told me like, oh, I want to learn how to sew or I want to learn how to do this. Then I'm like, then you can't be lazy. Like at the end of the day, like if you want to be something, you have to put in the work to do that thing. The mentality comes with areas of opportunity, and I will give you opportunities because I love competition.
Baby, I tell everybody, I tell everyone, everyone's like, oh, I want to be stand-up comic. Then do it.
Do it.
That's actually one of the easiest businesses to get into. There's like, you can look up how to do it and there is a way to do it. Is it going to be easy? No. But like at this point, there are a lot of original ideas, but the framework of how to get there is out there. You can just Google it. You can figure it out. There's a lot of people who have like done what you want to do and have come from similar backgrounds and places. So there's definitely like a little bit of luck to things, but there's also a framework to get started. So if you're like needing a sign from the universe, here it is. Yes. Figure out what you want. Start saying that is who you are, and figure out how you need to get there.
Don't be an asshole. Don't screw people over. All right. Like the worst thing that you can do is close doors for yourself. That doesn't mean like into relationships. Into relationships, people are being shit to you. Close those doors. It's okay. You'll find new doors. But if you are nasty to somebody that was genuinely trying to help you, down that road, they're not going to want to help you again. So just remember to be kind, present yourself in a way that like you want to be treated by other people, per fucking usual. Because then people really be closing their own doors for no reason. Like choosing to be unkind is going to lead you absolutely fucking nowhere. I think you can be smart, you can be cautious of others, but you can still be pleasant to be around, baby.
Yeah, it's like if you climb up a ladder, don't pull it up from behind you, right? Like you gotta help people. I would say like helping others, you never know when they can return the favor. So people's careers are never linear, and like if you help someone out early on, they could remember that and help you out later down the line. You never know how things end up. So I think it's always best to like be the best version of yourself, be gracious and humble, and keep after it, baby. Failing up one step at a time.
One step at a time. And it's okay if it's not like anything that you do that's worth it. You're not going to see immediate success, and that can be frustrating, okay? I've been working really hard on some things, and I'm not seeing a lot of return, and I'm like, why? Why? You can always rethink the plan. Like, it's your journey. The plan can't change. But I think just like reflecting of like, maybe this is something that didn't actually work out. I'm not enjoying it. I think that's okay to say like we're quitting, but then like, what are we doing next? Direction is important. I generally feel like having a little sense of direction always important. I see some friends that sometimes like lose the sight of direction, and I'm like, what are you about right now? Because then people start self-sabotaging when they're bored. And when you don't have direction, you get bored. Because it's like, what's the purpose? If you don't have a purpose and you're just like free-nilly life, sometimes you lose vision of the things that really matter to you. And that can be not such a great place to be, because then you start treating people a little shitty. Sometimes it's not just about you. It's about how you also, your relationships with other people. So be mindful of that. If you don't have direction, like really reflect on how you treat others. Because sometimes those things like start getting weird. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, I should probably, I'll go think about this, because we're overthinkers in this podcast. Yeah, so I'll go fully think this thought out and maybe get back to you with that. But yeah, direction is good. Having something to work at is always nice. Relaxing is also good. But like, we're failing up this fall, so like we can relax in the winter or whatever.
I never relax. You know that.
I never relax.
Success is relaxing. Actually, you know, I heard this quote from Venus Williams, and she said that discipline is freedom, because if you are disciplined, you know what you're closer to getting your desired result. It's when you're like willy-nilly doing kind of whatever, you're not going to see results. So if you're disciplined in your actions, you're going to see results, and that becomes freedom and peace. And I was like, that's something I'm working on. That is something I'm working on, baby.
Yeah.
Failing up, working on
myself.
Discipline
is a big one. Wow. I'm turning into my father.
Right? You like, what is it?
My God, I'm gonna send this one straight to Paco. He has been preaching this message since I was born. Did I finally catch up to me? Yeah. Did we have a good moment a few years ago when we literally watched that movie about the Williams sisters and their dad, where he was like, I've always thought this, like, you have talent if you just like focused. And I was like, oh, thank you. Like, my dad out here blindly delusionally believe in me, but he's like, but you're all over the place. And I'm like, no, you're right. No, you're right, though.
No, we do. We need both people. He just happens to be both people in the same person, you know? The person that keeps you, that lifts you up, but also keeps you in reality, which is, we do have a lot of potential, but you have to fucking harness it and focus.
Yeah. All right. Well, I hope you have an amazing time focusing this fall and failing upwards and fulfilling good dreams and desires. I feel like there's good energy in the air. Summer's been long, so now we can just like settle down, get cozy up, and have like a really good disciplined spooky season.
Pew 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 pew.
Next week I'm gonna be like,
discipline.
Feral, fuck discipline. No.
Give me like 12 weeks, maybe 6 months. I have to be disciplined till I'm like 29 and a half, and then maybe I'll fall off again.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. We love having you here, and we would love you even more if you share the podcast with others, and that could either be by liking our things on social media or sharing it with a friend. Our socials are at thanks4 your concern, and I'm at Ella L Tudor.
I'm at Berenice DSM.
Toodles!
Bye.